Okay, so today we're going to take a deep dive into some really cool research about how AI is changing the world of science. Specifically, we're looking at material science.
Yeah, it's a really hot area right now.
We get this awesome academic paper that looks at a real-world experiment. They actually introduced an AI tool into a big company's R&D lab in the US.
Fascinating stuff.
Totally. We'll explore how this tool works, what kind of impact it had on the speed and the types of discoveries, and what it all means for the future of, well, scientists, really.
Basically seeing how AI is playing out in the real world, not just theory. It's a really concrete example.
Material science is super important, right? It's kind of behind the scenes, but it's the foundation for so much innovation. Our smartphones, spaceships, it all comes down to having the right materials.
Absolutely.
But traditionally, research in material science has been really slow.
Yeah.
Scientists have to test tons of different combinations, and there are lots of dead ends.
Yeah.
It's very trial and error.
It's true. That's where this AI tool comes in. Imagine like a giant network of dots. Each dot is a different material, and they're all connected by lines that show how they relate to each other.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
So this AI, it's called a graph neural network, and it's basically learned from all those connections. Scientists can tell it what properties they want in a new material, like strong, lightweight, heat resistant,
Right?
and the AI will suggest possible recipes for new compounds that might work. It's like having a research assistant who's read every chemistry textbook and scientific paper ever written.
That's a wild idea.
Yeah.
So they actually tested this AI in a real lab.
They did, yeah. They wanted to know what the real impact would be, so they randomly assigned some scientists to use the AI and others to keep doing things the old-fashioned way.
Smart. So they could really see the AI's effect. What happened?
Well, the results were pretty dramatic. Scientists who used the AI tool discovered 44% more new materials compared to the ones who didn't.
Wow, 44%. That's huge.
It is, especially considering that the lab's overall output had actually been decreasing in recent years before they brought in the AI.
Okay, so that's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But were these new discoveries actually good? Or just more of the same stuff?
Right, that's a good question. They didn't just want to churn out more materials, they wanted better materials. So they used different methods to assess the quality,
Interesting.
looking at things like how the atoms bond at a microscopic level and then, the overall strength and flexibility of the material.
Oh, I see.
And what they found was that the AI-assisted discoveries weren't just more numerous, they were higher quality across the board.
So it wasn't just about speed. The AI was helping them create better materials.
Exactly. It kind of challenges the fear that AI will just like rehash old ideas. It seems to be pushing the boundaries.
That's really cool. And it wasn't just theoretical, right? These discoveries led to real-world results.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They saw a big jump in patent filings, 39%, and a 17% increase in like actual product prototypes. So it's definitely having a real impact.
So far, this AI seems like a total win. More discoveries, better quality, actual products in development. Were there any downsides?
Well, it's important to remember that AI is a tool, right? And any tool can be used in different ways.
Mhm.
The study found that the AI tool didn't actually benefit all the scientists equally.
Oh, what do you mean?
It turns out the scientists who were already really productive before the AI, they saw even bigger gains. But for those who were less productive to start with, the AI didn't help as much.
Huh, that's really interesting. So it wasn't just a case of plugging everyone into the system and boom, instant breakthroughs.
Yeah, it wasn't quite that simple. It raises questions about why some scientists were better able to take advantage of the AI than others.
Right, right. Like what made the difference? Was it about how willing they were to use the new tool?
That's what they wanted to find out. So they looked closely at the different stages of scientific work. You have generating ideas, then judging which ideas are worth pursuing, and then actually doing the experiments.
Okay, that makes sense. You need to figure out which path is most likely to lead to a real breakthrough.
Exactly. And the AI was really good at the first part, generating ideas, coming up with those new material recipes. So that freed up the scientists to spend more time on the judgment part, figuring out which of the AI's suggestions were actually worth pursuing.
Interesting.
And the thing is, the scientists who were already good at that judgment part, they saw the biggest improvements. Like, they were able to quickly and accurately assess the potential of an idea.
So the AI was doing the brainstorming,
Yeah.
and then the scientists could use their expertise to, like, sift through all those ideas and pick the best ones.
That's a good way to put it. The AI wasn't replacing human judgment, it was actually making that judgment more important.
Okay, I get it. But if the AI is giving them all these new ideas, why do they need human judgment? Couldn't they just test everything?
Well, in theory, they could, but experimentation in material science is really time-consuming and expensive. So you can't just synthesize and test every single compound the AI suggests.
Right.
You got to be strategic about it. And that's where human judgment is crucial. Experienced scientists can look at the AI suggestions and say, okay, this one's a dead end, or this one has potential.
Gotcha. So the AI might be a whiz at coming up with ideas, but it still needs human experts to guide it and make sure those ideas are actually worthwhile.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder that AI is a tool. And like any tool, its effectiveness depends on the skill of the person using it.
It makes you wonder, if the AI is so good at generating ideas, does that mean human expertise is actually more important now?
It's a great question. Some people think AI will make human expertise obsolete, but this research actually suggests the opposite.
Really? Why is that? I would think if the AI is doing all the heavy lifting, you'd need less human input.
Well, it turns out even for really experienced scientists, judging those AI-generated ideas was actually harder than judging their own ideas.
No way, seriously. So even if the AI comes up with something brilliant, it's harder for the scientists to figure out if it's good than if they'd come up with it themselves.
That's what they found. Think about it. When you have your own idea, you know where it came from, what the limitations might be. But with the AI, it's like it just hands you a solution, and you don't have that same context.
That makes sense. But the study also found that some scientists were better at judging the AI's ideas than others, right? What made them so good?
Yeah, they wanted to understand that, so they surveyed the scientists about how they evaluated those AI suggestions. And what really stood out was the importance of domain knowledge. The scientists who were best at judging those AI ideas, they consistently pointed to their experience.
Okay.
Like they'd say, well, based on what I know about these kinds of compounds, this combination probably won't be stable. Or this structure, we tried something similar a few years ago and it had this problem.
So it wasn't just about being smart, it was about having that deep, specialized knowledge.
Exactly, that intuition that comes from years of working in the field.
So it seems like the AI is a powerful tool for exploration, but you still need that human expertise to make the right decisions.
That's right. The AI might be generating the ideas, but it's the humans who ultimately decide what's worth pursuing. It's almost like AI is making human expertise even more valuable.
This is so fascinating. Okay, we've got this AI tool that's shaking things up in the lab, boosting productivity, leading to all these new discoveries, changing the way scientists do their work. But what about the scientists themselves?
Right.
How did they feel about working with this new AI coworker? Did they love it, hate it, or somewhere in between?
That's where things get really interesting, because even though the AI was leading to more discoveries, the study found some surprising results about how it affected the scientists' job satisfaction.
Oh, okay. Now I'm really intrigued. Let's dig into that in the next part.
Sounds good. So it turns out the scientists, even the ones who were super successful with the AI, they were actually less satisfied with their jobs.
That's so weird. You'd think all those discoveries would make them happy.
You would, right. But when they surveyed the scientists, they found that a lot of them felt less creative, like they weren't using their full potential.
Huh. Even though they were objectively getting more done.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's because the AI was taking over that initial brainstorming phase, the idea generation. And for a lot of scientists, that's like the most exciting part.
It's like, I don't know, if you're a musician and suddenly there's a machine that can write perfect melodies,
Right.
you're just left arranging the notes.
Right.
It might be technically impressive, but it takes away the creative spark.
Exactly. And the scientists in the study, they missed that spark. They also said they felt less ownership over their work because they were mostly just evaluating the AI's ideas instead of coming up with their own.
That makes sense. It's like they were more like editors than creators.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's so important to remember that AI is going to change more than just, how we work. It's going to change how we feel about work.
Absolutely. It's not just about efficiency. It's about like purpose and fulfillment.
So what did the company do? Did they try to address those job satisfaction issues?
Well, they actually started reassigning or even letting go of some of the scientists who weren't adapting well to the AI tool, especially the ones who weren't good at that judgment part.
Wow, really? They were firing scientists because they couldn't work with the AI.
It does seem kind of harsh, but their goal is to be as innovative and efficient as possible. And the study showed pretty clearly that the AI was most effective when it was paired with scientists who had strong judgment skills.
I see. So they were basically optimizing their workforce for this new AI reality.
Right.
But how do you even measure something like judgment? It's not like there's a test for that.
It is tricky to quantify, but the study found that scientists who had published a lot of academic papers, specifically in their area of expertise, they were much better at judging the AI suggestions.
So it's not just about being generally smart or good at science.
Mm.
It's about having that deep, specific knowledge,
Exactly, that really specialized expertise.
which is kind of ironic, right? Because some people think AI is going to make expertise obsolete. But in this case, it seems like it actually makes it more valuable.
It's an interesting paradox for sure.
It makes you wonder, if AI can have this kind of impact on material science, what's it going to do to science as a whole?
It's a big question. AI is being used in so many different fields now: medicine, physics, everything.
And it's just getting more powerful all the time.
Right. It's hard to even imagine what the future holds.
It really is.
Okay.
So we've seen how AI can lead to amazing discoveries and how it's changing the way scientists do their work. We've also seen how it can create some challenges, like with job satisfaction. But before we wrap things up, I want to leave you with one final thought. So we've seen what AI can do in the lab, but what about the bigger picture? Could this kind of AI help us solve some of the world's, really big problems?
Yeah, that's what's so exciting about this stuff. I mean, imagine developing renewable energy technologies faster or coming up with more effective treatments for diseases, even, solutions to climate change.
It would be incredible.
It really would. Like, if we can discover new materials so quickly and make sure they're actually high quality, it could have a huge impact.
Yeah, it's like a ripple effect across so many different fields.
Mm.
But it's not just about the technology, right?
No, of course not.
It's how we use it.
Right. AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Mm.
It's up to us to make sure it's used for the right reasons.
Yeah, to actually benefit people. It
Yeah.
all comes back to those human factors we were talking about.
Hmm.
Making sure people's jobs are still satisfying, thinking about ethical stuff, making sure there aren't any unintended consequences. We can't just get caught up in the excitement of new technology and forget about the human side of things.
We need to be having these conversations. Figure out how to use AI in a way that, makes life better, but also in a way that's sustainable.
It's not just about being efficient. It's about making sure we're using AI to empower people, not replace them entirely.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
This deep dive has been a wild ride, honestly. We've learned about these incredible new discoveries, how scientists are working with AI, what it all means for the future of research. I have to say, it's been pretty mind-blowing.
It's been fascinating to explore all of this, that's for sure. And I think we've only scratched the surface.
I know, right? AI is changing so fast, it's hard to keep up. This study gave us a really good look at what's happening in the lab. But think about it, as AI gets even more powerful, how is that going to change how we learn and discover things in our everyday lives?
It's a good question. I mean, what if we all had access to these AI tools? Could we all become citizen scientists, testing our own ideas, making our own discoveries?
That's a crazy thought. But, there are definitely potential downsides too.
For sure.
What if we become so dependent on AI to give us information that we stop thinking for ourselves?
Yeah, that's a real concern. It's about finding that balance, using AI to our advantage, but not letting it completely take over.
These are tough questions, and I don't think anyone has all the answers yet. But they're definitely worth thinking about. It's been so cool to see how AI is already changing the world, and it's exciting and a little bit scary to think about what's next.
Absolutely. And I think the key is to be aware, to keep learning and asking questions, and to really engage with these developments as they happen.
I totally agree. Well, that's it for our deep dive today. We hope you learned something new and maybe even got a little inspired to do some exploring of your own.
Yeah, keep those questions coming.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.